So we're going to look at the Silk Roads during the classical era. We're going to go through 2 slides back and forth. This should prep you for your questions and your Socratic seminar on Monday. Let it begin. So first and foremost, obviously on this slide, you see the red is for the roads, the blue is for the maritime routes. Right, up over here. I'll start with talking about the maritime routes. There's 2 of interest. All of them are interesting, but 2 are really interesting because you got some brave souls who are willing to traverse the big blue. See how those go through the ocean? They do not go back in like these other ones will come in and come in. They don't come in. These guys just go, I'm going for it. Right? They go over the whole thing. Just do it. Right? Just do it. So, but what's interesting about that, and this is a test question you're going to have, right, on your unit test, is these people who are going across have to really know the monsoonal flows. Right? They have to know the monsoons, which is spelled cross that out. Monsoons. Okay. So, but what does that mean? During summertime, right, the winds come from the Indian Ocean up into the Eurasian continent. So what does that mean? Well, that means, right, you're going to have a lot of storms. It's the wet time for South Asia. So you're either going to sail that time or you're not. But if you are, you got to learn how to tack and sail the right way. But during wintertime, right, the winds come off the Tibetan Plateau from the north to the south. There's less storms, so there's more trading most of the time during the wintertime because it's just more favorable for trading. You have to know that. It's on your test. But what we want to do is you want to look at the 2 termini of, right, the Silk Roads. You have over in the Roman Empire, right, you have Antioch. And over in China, you have Chang'an. Those are the 2 termini. Right? And you do have other routes. This is where it gets messy. It comes down right into South Asia. But really the predominant one was that one up in the boat. So let us look at what did they have to go through. Well, here you have empires. Okay? This is Eurasian Empire. This is around 200 CE. Around 200 CE. All of you should know this empire over here, which is what? Did homework on it last night. No, but I like where your head's at. It's Mediterranean. Okay, it's Rome, right? Or you have Pax Romana. What about over here? Which empire is here? Ends in 220 CE, but you don't have to know that. Just know it goes to around 3rd century CE. Shang, Zhou, Qin, Han. Yes. Okay, the Han. Well, in here, right, this is the Kushan, which you looked at fact packing of imagery from Hellenistic Buddhists the other day, right, in this area. And here, right, this is the Chola region and other princely states, but not going to get into that one because you're at a transition moment. But this one, the Seleucid, okay, you have to know that one, Seleucid, which is a vestige of Alexander the Great, but it's a Persian empire, but it's called the Seleucid Empire at that time. So the Silk Roads go through all of these. I mean, they definitely go through, right? One comes down here, one comes down there, right? These are Silk Roads that go through these empires. There's one empire that is not mentioned, which is right here. And it actually extends out even over here more. Who's that? We studied them. Relationships with the Han. Yeah! Awesome! Good news. Right, so you got the Xiongnu. It's an empire. In any historian's big argument, that's why this is a weird image, I like to add to it, is they're an imperial confederacy, and if you're going through the Silk Roads, aren't you going right through their lands? So you have to deal with them. You have to deal with them. So if you're talking about imperial, one of the themes, empire states and commerce, right, you got to include that. And say, for example, it's a bad time between, right, the Xiongnu and the Han, there's bad trade. If they're at a time of negotiations and they're raiding each other, could you imagine how much it would cost to get from Chang'an to Antioch? And you lose a couple people, so if you're the business person, you'd be like, pay up. I want a lot more money for what I just did if you want these silks. You want this salt? You want this pepper? It's going to cost you a little more. There's a couple people who died. There's blood on your hands. Right? No kidding. But you see how it would be more. But if everything, the relations are going well, you go through quicker, right? Pax Romana, right? When this thing was happening, it was easier. So going back, right? In here, remember we talked about the movement of cultures. In particular, we're just going to focus on religion. So right here, what religions come out of India that we studied? Hinduism and Buddhism, right? Hinduism, right, will take this trajectory down into Southeast Asia. That's where it moves. It doesn't really follow a Silk Road, but that's where it goes. Because you'll have Rajas that start popping up in Southeast Asia. Where do they get their Raj from? Hindu kings and princes. Like Angkor Wat, any of you ever seen that? Angelina, Tomb Raider. Got the many hands come out. That's Angkor Wat. If you look at all the structures, they're very Hinduistic. Very Hinduistic. Well, what's another religion that comes out of India? Buddhism, right? And Buddhism goes this way. It does. It goes over to here too, but it's primarily Mahayana goes up there and Theravada goes down, but that doesn't happen during the classical era. So, how come it doesn't go west, Buddhism? Hinduism pretty much stays. It's really regional. How come it doesn't go west?
There's other religions there that people are like, no.
Okay. What religions are in Persia? Starts with, you go there to watch animals. Yeah. It starts with the Z, though. Yeah, Zoroastrianism. Okay, that's still there. Okay, and what's in by 3rd century, right? CE, the Mediterranean. Starts with the C. Somebody was killed. Christianity, right? Yeah, you don't have these movements. And it'd be the same reverse argument. Why don't you have Christianity, right, leaving the Mediterranean and coming over to East Asia? Because you have, Buddhism, Hinduism. You have these things there, right? And Buddhism, right, when it comes up with, right, Taoism at that time, it's like, hey, I got sweet and sour. I'm not calling anyone sour. They're both sweet, whatever. I'm just trying to do an analogy. Put them together, and they're really nice. And everyone accepts them. It's like putting two things in a blender. You're like, I got this and this, put it together. And you drink it, you're like, oh, that's good. Make me more of that. Right? More people want this blended Taoistic Buddhism or Mahayana. It becomes accepted to this area. People don't want Christianity. Christianity and Taoism don't have this on the surface level similarities. I mean, they do when you go deep. But so you could argue in your Socratic seminar that there is, right, movements of culture, and you could argue that there's impediments of culture too. I'm trying to complicate it for you so you sound more smart. And that is it.